And what about this internet thing? Do you know anything about that? What the hell is that exactly?
We live in a world where the internet has become invisible. Like gravity or the air we breathe, we only notice it when it's gone. You tap a screen and a 4K video starts playing instantly. It feels like magic. But this magic is a masterpiece of deception. When we think of the web, we imagine satellites or 5G towers. And while they play a part, they only handle a tiny fraction of the world's data, barely 1%. To find the true internet, you have to look down. Because the real web isn't in the clouds. It's buried under thousands of tons of seawater. Right now, there are over 550 active submarine cables wrapping around the planet like a giant nervous system. If you want to see exactly where they are, there's an incredible interactive map at submarinecablemap.com. I'll leave the link in the description. Inside, these cables are hair-thin strands of glass transmitting data as pulses of light. But to protect that light, we need serious armor. Layers of steel and copper are designed to survive tectonic shifts and even shark bites. However, in 2008, a single ship anchor accidentally cut a cable in the Mediterranean. Within minutes, 70% of Egypt's internet went dark, and half of India's digital capacity simply vanished. But nature can be even tougher. During the 2011 earthquake in Japan, several major cables were physically snapped. You'd expect a total blackout, but surprisingly, Japan's traffic only dropped by about 10%. Why? Because the network instantly rerouted the data through undamaged paths. It's a true self-healing organism. But physical cables are only half the story. The data still needs a map. This is the job of the DNS, the phone book of the internet. The entire global web relies on 13 logical root servers managed by organizations like NASA and ICANN. If these authorities were to vanish, names like Google or YouTube would revert back to their raw IP addresses. And this is where the unity ends. Not everyone sees the same internet. In China, the Great Firewall, officially the Golden Shield Project, creates a massive digital bubble. For over 1 billion people. The services we use every day simply don't exist. No Google, no YouTube, no Facebook. Instead, the government blocks anything that doesn't align with the Communist Party's narrative, replacing the global web with a strictly monitored alternative. It's a total filter of information. In North Korea, it goes even further with Kwangmyong, a sterile intranet that only mimics the real web. They even have their own games, like Pyongyang Racer. It's a racing game through empty streets where you literally run out of gas every minute. Kinda ironic, isn't it? Okay, so where does all this data live? It ends up in data centers, massive, high-security campuses like Google's facility. There's another great resource called the Internet Exchange Map, where you can see these massive hubs. I've linked that one below as well. These are fortresses protected by biometric scanners and armed security. They can never lose power. If the grid fails, massive flywheels and industrial generators kick in within seconds. The internet doesn't sleep because the global economy depends on its heartbeat. It's hard to believe this machine started as a Cold War experiment. In the 1960s, the US military needed a network that could survive a nuclear strike. The result was ARPANET. In 1969, the first message was sent between UCLA and Stanford. They tried to type login, but the system crashed after only 2 letters. A humble, accidental start to a global revolution. But the internet we use today, the World Wide Web, was born in 1989 at CERN in Switzerland. British scientist Tim Berners-Lee created it with a simple goal: to help scientists share data instantly. On August 6, 1991, he launched the world's first ever website, info.cern.ch. It had no images, no ads, just text and blue links. You can actually still visit it today. Link in the description. However, it didn't take long for the world of business to catch up. By 1994, the web saw its first major commercial moment. A site called Hotwired sold the world's first ever banner ad to AT&T. It was a small, colorful box that asked, "Have you ever clicked your mouse right here?" You will. Surprisingly, 44% of people who saw it actually clicked it. That tiny banner changed the web from a quiet library into the massive commercial engine we use today. Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, once predicted that the internet would eventually disappear. He didn't mean it would break. He meant it would become so omnipresent, built into every car, every appliance, and every wall, that we'll stop thinking of it as a separate thing. Like oxygen or electricity, it will simply be everywhere, powering our lives in the background. The invisible skeleton of our world is already here, under the oceans and behind high-voltage fences. We've stopped being just users of the internet. We've become a part of its architecture, and we're just getting started.